Sun God.
If we had to do it a live transaction to say, I'll be sending a viewer an XRPs, and you guys will be sending maybe one viewer what's this Bitcoin.
Brother,
Like,
we'll do one better. We'll do one better. During this recording, I will send you Bitcoin.
And I will say, okay, and I want to send you guys XRPs. Like I still have my app open. Maybe we can send about what? I don't know.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, just let me know. If you open the XRP wallets, you just go and hit receive.
Okay, okay. I do have a different wallet that's from South Africa, but if you want a specific one, maybe I can take a day. Maybe after the recording, we can just keep going back and forth.
Yeah. STAKK Nation, welcome back to the channel.
Champions.
Today, if you are observing very nicely, you see that we have the one and only Mr. Sanele in the house with us, the digital landlord. Okay.
Thank you.
You see, Mr. Sanele here is an entrepreneur. Okay. An enthusiast of the crypto world as much as we are as well. And today we're just going to be chatting, discussing some cryptocurrency and ease of use. I think this is going to be taking a bit of a look at XRP, right? And the user experience for, at least from your perspective. And, so we can just discuss some of the things that maybe all of us may not be looking at and seeing where there are some advantages or disadvantages to these things. So with no further ado, the one and only digital landlord, how do I say? Sawubona.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
All the way from South Africa. What's up, brother?
I'm good, and you? How are you guys? I'm a big fan. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you.
We are all family here, brother. There is no better person we'd rather talk to.
Yep.
One of the biggest things about our show, obviously, from ourselves, okay, we are the DNA of Africa. And one of the biggest things we're trying to do on our show is to make sure that we as a people are represented in this space. We can send information to our people in this space, whatever we have learned, to make sure that Africa as a whole does not miss the incredible opportunity that is provided by Bitcoin. Of course, in our case, we are more heavily focused on Bitcoin, but it does not mean that we cannot open this conversation, because whatever is beneficial to the African nation is beneficial to the African nation.
It's beneficial to all.
Yes.
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu. There we go. So please, over to you, sir. Please tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into it.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you again for having me. I'm a big fan. I have been tracking your work, you guys, since I know I laid my eyes on your guys' channel. I liked it from day one. And I always knew that I wanted to be part, to bring in my little bit of my experience, my history, what I've come across when it comes to the digital space. So I really wanted to chip in, help, and see how you guys can also, help me grow, because I might have missed one or two, opportunities here and there with Bitcoin. But all I'm just saying is understanding technology for myself. It always evolves. So one thing I've learned, because before Bitcoin, for example, I come from the stock market. So I'm in South Africa. It's also one of the biggest exchange in Africa. So when I started with the stock market. So I learned the fundamentals of the stock market, what makes the stock market tick, what makes the stock market stay, on the same lane, or what makes this stock market go down. So when I started with the cryptocurrency, I came with that background of the stock market, and I cannot say it's the same. It's really not the same, but it looks like it's going to be similar in a long run. You know, at first, you know, when I started with the stock market and I wanted a bit of diversity, you know, I looked into commodities, the bullions, also started looking to Bitcoin. Then I decided to add a little bit of diversity into my portfolio. And this was even before 2020. So I was lucky that I had a mixed bag of in my stock portfolio. So what had happened there is everything had crashed, yes, but at least with the diversification, I was able to stay above the waters. And sometimes, like I'm saying, you know, doing your own research as a person, being in that space, really putting in your claws, I was able to come back from the 2020,
market crash.
market crash, and till today I'm still in the stock market. For an example, what I've learned in the stock market is that it's really sometimes not about those big gains, but staying the path. You know, I'm from 2020, I'm still here. Like I said in before our recording, I started Bitcoin at least 2016, 2017, and even with the stock market, I started before that. So I came with a little bit of experience. And what I like about me before all this, I'm a history student, so I do understand a little bit of what had happened between African people and with the Europeans. So I take everything or most things I do from that perspective to say, how did they earn so much to control the African mind, the African people? What had happened? So one of the greatest people I look up to in the history is Dr. Anderson. I don't know if you guys know Dr. Anderson, Black Labor, White Wealth, the book. So when I started reading those books, and the other book that shaped me would be Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So yeah, from a long time, from coming from that background, I was able to come to the choices I've made to today, to think they are the future because of those shapings from those books, for an example. And just being a student of history, you know, knowing that history repeats. It might not repeat, but some say it rhymes. But for me, you know, it repeats. If especially if you don't take the lessons out of history.
Absolutely.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
So Nelly, man, we have a lot in
Yes.
common. We have a lot in
Well,
common.
thank you. That's good.
We also came from the stock market. We
Okay.
used to trade the market using AI before we fully transitioned into Bitcoin. Uh,
Okay.
we did mess around with crypto for a while as well, so we do understand the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Diversification is is what we're told. Rich Dad Poor Dad also kind of mentioned that building those four quadrants of your money, and your
Yes.
last quadrant is where you want that money making money for you, which is one of the
Invested.
reasons
Yes.
why this is why you either get into real estate or into stocks, especially
True.
stocks that give you dividends and all that good stuff, right? So
True. True.
we've learned all of that, right? And
Yes.
I mean, coming from the fact that you said you're an history student, man, we have a lot to talk about because
We
that
have
is
to talk about
exactly
it. We have to talk about it.
exactly, and that is exactly where Bitcoin was created. So I think we have a lot to talk about. So let me pass it on back to you, though.
Oh, sure. Well, brother, I think one of the main things, because one of the things we're going to be discussing today is just XRP versus Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
before we, and it's not necessarily something that it's a debate. We're just trying to look at the various unfoldings, or maybe a series of events that led you to take the stance that you take on Bitcoin. So, sorry, on XRP. So, I
Yes.
think before we dive into it, can you share with us a little bit of your journey and how you end up where you stand with XRP as is?
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I started with Bitcoin, before in fact, I bumped into Bitcoin, there was this, like I'm saying, I'm from the stock market. So, everything was crashing. I think it was somewhere 2014, I believe. I'm in South Africa. So my then president was Jacob Zuma. So I learned a lot at that time, I got to be exposed, and I was doing a lot of research at that time. So I was learning that all currencies were falling. Sometimes you think that maybe if I switch from the rand and I went to dollar, my life would have been better. The purchasing power would have been better. You know, just beating up yourself, thinking how you would have done better in the past and how can you move forward. So like I'm saying, I've been in the stock market, so I would read a lot of what's this business sectors on what's happening either in Africa or globally. So one thing that was common was that businesses were not happy with what was happening in other countries. For example, let's say I was invested in this Anglo-American company which was losing money in Zimbabwe, and it's because of the currency in Zimbabwe. Some will say we are in Nigeria and the Nigerian currency is, it's not good for business. So all these companies from all these walks of life, even in America, when I'm doing history, to say, okay, what are Americans saying about the dollar? They were all also complaining to say that the dollar is falling, things are going up, and. So from that, the first thing is when you do a little bit of history, then they say 2014, like I'm saying, I bumped into gold. I find out what's the history of gold, why was it used, why was it not used. So I then made my decision again. Then I found Bitcoin thereafter, having learned about gold. Then I was a gold bug for a long time, because I was involved in some Ponzi schemes before in South Africa, whereby you trying your luck, let's say 2012, 2010, and it was a Ponzi scheme. So, like for an example, I don't know if you guys have heard of Bitconnect. There was something
Hang
called
on, hang
Bitconnect.
on, hang on, hang on, hang on.
So yes, so I'm a victim of Bitconnect. When I started this cryptocurrency, I got a lot of scammers. I fell victim to Bitconnect. I had a lot of Bitconnect. I stored my Bitconnect online. I locked it up, and a lot happened, and I lost my Bitconnect at the end of the day. And locally also, there were other Ponzi schemes. They were called Triple M's. Some they were called Kipi. There were just a lot. So from that, I had to learn what was a Ponzi scheme, right? So a Ponzi scheme was that it's something that is started and all the time it needs new money coming in and it doesn't create anything. So having learned, for an example, like I'm saying, I'm a history student. So everything that happens to me, I need to take notes and make sure that it doesn't happen again. So I put in fundamentals in what I do. So and then I bump into Bitcoin. It's like, how does it work? Then I looked at these guys who are investors in America, the Shark Tank. They will say, what does Bitcoin do? And I'll try to go out there and find out what does Bitcoin do. And I'm like, oh, I like Bitcoin because of, like I'm saying, I'm in the stock market. The guys are complaining that the currencies are going down and we need that one global currency whereby we can all agree upon. And Bitcoin was sneaking up. And I thought maybe Bitcoin had a chance, but also there was the gold. Then there was those defaults of gold. You have to carry it. You have to, security. It's heavy. Sometimes it's tax. You can't even carry it outside your country. So it's just a lot with Bitcoin. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll be what 1% Bitcoin. What's this? A gold bug. Then I also got into a little bit of Bitcoin. Explored a bit of Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin. So for an example, as you guys were preparing for this interview, I did what's this? Mention you in some of the researches I've been following. People were talking about either Bitcoin and XRP. So I learned about the energy, how does it run, there are miners and all that. And I see the potential. I'm looking at the solar because I'm also, like I'm saying, in the stock market. I'm thinking, wow, solar can, take up Bitcoin to a next level. Wind energy can take up Bitcoin to the next level. Now I'm thinking there are three categories here. There are us retailers, there are institutions, there's government. So one thing while I was doing research, I learned that governments will bring tankers before they submit to anyone else trying to take their power. They will bomb you. So that's one thing I know about governments. And in the looking into the past, looking where I am currently, looking into the future, my opinion, my perspective is that government and private guys, the private sector, are coming together, and us as the little guys, if we are not either partnering or looking out for ourselves, we'll be swallowed by these big companies, because now the research is that big country flags are taken over by big private companies. For an example, here in South Africa, Amazon is big. You know, the flag of Amazon is flying higher than the South African flag. So in the near future, we are thinking that good companies, sometimes, like you guys were saying in the last interview where you guys mentioned me, said that you know, Ripple is not at the end of the day a good company, but you know, the influence that they have over governments, other businesses, for me, it really says a lot about the future. To say, they will say, no, our government, our problem is Bitcoin. Can you ban it? Like right now, there are rumors that China, Russia is starting to ban Bitcoin mining. So, and I'm thinking here in South Africa already, we're having an electricity problem, we're having a load shedding. So I don't know how is Bitcoin really long term is going to be you know, usable. And now, like I'm saying, I'm also in the business sector, on the business side. Now I'm looking at scalability. If now I had to pay my workers or receive money in Bitcoin, looking at the time, how long does it take? If I had 500 employees, if I had to pay them rapidly, because of the future now detects that people will be paid hourly or every second, meaning that if you do something for me, we settle it. Like right now, if this interview had money connected, if we had to do it for money, we have to settle this after this interview. You know, we don't have to wait for banks to do the transaction 3 days, 7 days. Everything needs to be like instant. Like, you know, as people will be watching now, this is a pre-recorded, but if people are watching and they like what's happening right now with the Bitcoin, you just get paid right there. This is the new economy, for an example. So with Bitcoin, I did play around with Bitcoin, and I follow Elon Musk a lot. And for an example, funny thing is that I think it's 2005, if not 2007. There was an interview whereby Elon Musk was saying that people are excited about sending money online, but it's bigger than that. It's not just about me sending you Bitcoin, you sending me Bitcoin, but it's about also tokenizing our real world assets. Yeah, if you understand. Like for I have stocks. If right now I wanted to give away some of my stocks to the viewers of your guys' channel, I should be able to that to be able to do that because it's value. We need to not destroy value. We need to uphold value, keep value, and grow value. So with Bitcoin, you know, I don't know. We can talk about it, but can it scale really? Liquidity really? Satoshi, like people are saying, we don't know who Satoshi is. But let me tell you one thing: DOJ, Department of Justice in the US, or the SEC, some guys have claimed at the high authorities that they have interviewed the four Satoshis or Satoshi. So the big governments, Russia, America, they do know who Satoshi is. So for me, and like for an example, why I wouldn't wanna be invested in a CEO that is not out there giving me update to see what is he doing on his spare time, what he's doing when he's, you know, when he's working, what are his priorities. Yes, there is a white paper, but I would like to know more into that. You know, with for example, Ripple XRP, at least there is Brad. I can look at him in the eye and tell him, you know what, I'm investing in this SRP thing, and I have your word for it. And the way you are dressing, how you carry yourself, and the plans that you are filling me into. Yes, there are a lot of non-disclosure with the Ripple XRP, but with a little bit of information here and there, and like I'm saying, I have a little bit of a background on the stock market. It's something I'm more a little bit of comfortable with. But yes, I do understand your guys' concerned about the CBDCs, but I think it's just two worlds. You know, there will be us who own XRP directly, and there will be those guys who are unfortunate who get what's this the basic income, the global basic income, whereby the poor in the future, you will be nice on the social media, you'll like your government, and your government will be giving you CBDCs, money that is time to say you can use this money this week, you can use this money with these particular stores. So those are restrictions. So those are for the poor, right? So once you have Bitcoin, or at least you own a whole XRP, a whole XRP, at least in that, from how I'm understanding the technology, is that it's similar, and it's built from the defaults of Bitcoin. For example, I've used Bitcoin for example, like I said, I've sent myself Bitcoin Terminal X, and I will wait for my Bitcoin to clear for even for an hour. You know, back then in 2015, 2016, especially when it's running up. you really cannot use Bitcoin when it's running. But now when you also study business and government, they need something stable. They need something you can say we can agree upon. And if you, like I'm saying, if you're a history student, you'll understand how the dollar became the global currency. So if you do understand how the dollar came the global currency, then you'll know that XRP is on its path of becoming the global digital currency. Hopefully one day it gets back at least a little bit, by a percentage, maybe 1 or 10, to say it's backed by gold, just to give it a little bit of more value, and it's already mined, so we don't have to worry about where can we get more Bitcoin or XRP. So what happens is there will be allocations, hence the escrow. So to say, if maybe Jeff Bezos wanted to swap some of his dollars for this digital money, where can we find satoshis or the miners to give us the equal value to what's this Jeff Bezos have? But at least with XRP, we know we can go to Ripple, have them be accountable to say, okay, can you change this value from Jeff Bezos, give him some XRP, and we also go to another maybe millionaire or billionaire or other businesses or government to say, listen, this is the new way of how we want to make business, because it's just an agreement. It's you and I agreeing on this time to say, at this time can we meet and what can we talk about? Then we both contribute on what we are talking about. And if you really do what you say you're going to do, then you get value. And if I also do what I said I'm going to do, I get value from that. But yes, it's just three components whereby there's gold, there's like XRP, whereby we thinking that there will be a lot of control from the government and business, and there's Bitcoin, whereby there's like you believing in Santa Claus. I don't believe in Santa Claus. I just don't. I just don't. I'm not comfortable with this idea of having a CEO and I don't really know where he's at. And there's just a lot of gaps and for me to fill with Bitcoin. But I really do love what Bitcoin has done to the space, and also moving us from this what's this fiat currencies at least to something that is fixed. Those we can appreciate. A fixed currency. Then also understanding what is money. Money is something that's valuable and you settle at the same time and all other things.
Yeah. Well, I think you've said a lot of really important things there, brother.
Thank
But
you.
maybe I should start by
Mm.
just, you know, some of the things that you said there, and a lot of the things that you've mentioned, you know, having faster transaction. By the way, while I'm describing this here, I just want to I like to demonstrate something to you later. I if you have your phone with you,
Yes.
can you download a wallet for me? And
Okay. What's the name?
it's called Moon. If you look in
MUNN in
eh,
your
MUUN is the name of
MUN.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Just type it down there in the private chat for me. I'm sure of it.
Oh wait, yeah. You know what? We have private chat. Okay.
Yeah.
After I kind of finish what I'm saying, yeah, I would like to just demonstrate something, and maybe because ultimately we also want to understand. From what one of the things you asked at the beginning was, maybe you can get a different sort of understanding for Bitcoin.
I'm open. I'm open to it.
Okay. So I noticed there's a few things that you mentioned there. For one, you came into Bitcoin like way early, which is great.
Yep.
Not many
Thank you.
people went into Bitcoin at that time. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's just there are situations where you are not wrong, but you are definitely too early,
True.
right?
True.
And in those situations, there will not be adequate information whether it is the best way to store your bitcoins and things like that. So,
Yes.
first of all, that I mean, Bitconnect, that situation, I cannot even begin to imagine because I know a lot of people lost
Yeah.
in that situation. However,
I have the receipts for that.
you have the receipts for that, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know to what extent that affects you and your uh, perception of Bitcoin moving forward,
Mhm.
right? However, there's a couple things that I would start with here. Uh, at least from how you describe it, it seems that you perceive Bitcoin as something that is a company where there needs to be a leader who needs to be held in charge, like XRP, right? But I think I want to just introduce you to this idea where money is not led by a CEO. Say, for example, if you have your XRP or the South African currency itself, right? What is used in Rand, right?
Mm.
Is it Rand?
Yes, yes, yes,
Say if you
sir.
have Rand, say you're holding Rand and something is happening with your Rand, who do you call to discuss the situation, right?
Okay.
There is no one that you will call in this case because it's the government. There is no quick phone call to reach them. However, things are happening to your Rand, and these things that are happening to your Rand is because of human decision. We agree?
Policy making.
Printing. Let's just
Yes.
say call it what it is, printing.
Yeah.
Printing, right? But it is done by the people there. Now, the reason why I'm asking you to download that wallet is because you mentioned this scalability and speed situation, right? And I think that we'll go through a little exercise there. And then at the end of it, I want you to tell me how you feel about it. The other thing is, from what you described there, there is a you broke society down essentially, or you broke the markets down into retail, institution, and governments, right? And I think this retail, institution, and government, it is categories that has been set in place to later on tell people know your place. You understand? The same way how you have all these nations right now, where some of them went and sat down together and decided that we were going to distribute Africa amongst ourselves.
True.
Africans were not invited to this situation.
Mm.
You go to G7 meetings or conventions, and Africa is invited, but they are not really part of the conversation. Again, it goes back to this thing where they create these images of what who should be where so that they
Mm.
can later on say know your place. And it seems that to them Africa's place is to go and sit down, do not
Yeah.
engage in these international conversations we're having. So there's a lack of respect there. When we come to this same categories here, retail, institution, and government, you see the government is supposed to be for the people. The people are supposed to really collaborate with their government. When it comes to institution is nobody but a simple merchant.
Mm.
Amazon.
Okay, Amazon is in the markets, man. They are supposed to be carrying something on their head and walking around, okay, and begging for somebody to buy their stuff. But what we have done is we have taken the power and giving it to these people, and then now they have turned around and tried to tell us. Not only they don't even tell us, now they have gathered so much data from our lives where they try to now manipulate us
This,
to buy their stuff.
yeah.
You understand? Now, because, and the reason why I point this out is because if the people decide that we are not buying anything from Amazon, then Amazon has nothing to sell to keep prospering. You must be providing value in order to prosper. And that is how Amazon took off. But then they got to a point where they start, due to the amount of profits that they have, they're able to start buying governments to shut down their competition. This is what money can allow people to do, especially when they have now set up themselves as a multinational corporation, which means that they can avoid taxes in multiple zones
Hmm.
while reeling in multiple, maximum profits.
And you pay the taxes.
Yes, and those taxes are coming from us. So in return, they make things expensive for the people themselves, one way or another. This is how Amazon has rock pulled the American economy, along with other massive organizations. So my question then, and where I would like for us to really clarify, is that what is it that we are trying to solve as a society?
Especially Africa.
Right, specifically Africa. What are we trying to solve? And to me, it seems that The problem that we need to be trying to solve is the problem of money and the problem of centralized control
Of money.
of the money as well, right? So, and I think that many of our leaders, you said, as you said, you're a student of history. I think if you look at Gaddafi, um,
Mumbai.
yeah, Patrice Lumumba, Sankara, all these guys understood that for Africa to be able to operate on a global stage and be respected on a global stage, you said yourself, you invested in the stock market. And when I look at global indexes, all I see is Egypt and is it Egypt and Kenya?
Hmm.
South Africa is not
South
shown.
Africa don't even show on the
South
list, bro.
Africa does not show on the list, but South Africa has a stock market. We know this. Nigeria has a stock market. We know this. Few others too. But this is part of that disrespect, right? But it's able to keep happening because there is a group of people that have control of the money and they get to decide what happens because you cannot do anything about it because, like you said, the government is about firepower, violence. If you go against it, they will come and take you out. We saw how they took out Gaddafi. We saw how they took out Sankara and many, many more,
And you say you want a
right?
CEO.
Yes. This is the problem with having a CEO. You understand? Even look at Ethereum. Ethereum used to be proof of work,
Uh-huh.
right? But then they were like, hey, we cannot control this thing. We need to find a way to control this thing. And they knew who they had to go to force them to change it. So my first question would be, hey, if they can force Vitalik to change Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake, and you also mentioned that they have interviewed the Satoshi. Personally, I think that that is not whoever is saying that they have interviewed Satoshi. That is misdirection. That
False
is
information.
manipulation. It's social engineering. If they can get you to believe it, then it is real. Okay. So I don't believe anybody has seen Satoshi. I don't think anybody has interviewed this guy. Yet, this technology, which, and we can get deeper into, when I say this, but this technology that is led to operate by you and I, we can all jump on this network. It's only a matter of setting up a Raspberry Pi, or you can set up a Bitcoin node for people who can afford it.
Mhm.
As long as you set up that mining power or power to verify the block, you become the CEO as well. You become part of the power that is enabling this system to run. Now, this thing has been running since 2000 and what,
Nine.
9, right?
January.
And it has 99% uptime. So there is no company, no CEO that we know that has been interviewed that can say that about their company. 99%
Not
uptime,
Solana.
right? So I think that it is evidence of this thing moving in the direction that was promised. And it is good for people to try to hack Bitcoin. I think it's absolutely necessary because if you've been trying to hack something, if the international community, China, whoever else, has tried to hack Bitcoin for 15 years, something that is not in control by anyone, and they are failing. I think that every day they fail to hack and shut down Bitcoin or change the way Bitcoin operates. It is a win. It is evidence every day that this is a piece of technology that is above these people, right? Furthermore, I would say that when you get to a point where you realize that you cannot overtake a technology, you cannot dominate it, the only thing you can do then is to try to stop people from interacting with it. Hence why they might come out and start saying all the crazy stuff that they would say, like we know who Satoshi is, we've interviewed him, whatever the case might be. It's the same way as if you ask most people what Bitcoin is, they will tell you it's a scam. Okay. If you ask some
Because they've
people,
been scammed.
yeah, for some
That's what we
people,
know.
exactly. Like your experience, which you had with Bitconnect, right? If you ask some people what is crypto, they also say it's a scam because they hear of people losing a large amount of money and so on and so forth.
Especially in Africa,
Right?
there's a lot of scams there.
Exactly. But here's the thing, brother. I think that there is maybe two things that I would like to invite you to reconsider. One is this breakdown of retail versus institutions and government. Trade is trade is supposed to be global.
Hmm.
Without institutions
In the
or
middle.
without the people, without what they'll call retail these days, without the people, there is no institutions. Without the people, there is no government. If there is no one that can be held responsible, and I'm saying that they have not found Satoshi, because if they have found him, there is only one thing they can do with him, and that is to kill him. But if you kill him and Bitcoin is still running, then there is no purpose of what you're doing there, because the thing is still running just fine, right? So it seems to me then that uh, we need to be able to have money where there is no one to go kill to stop it, like they did with Gaddafi, right? What was one of his main agendas? We need to have a
African
united
coin,
Africa,
African currency,
and we need to have one currency,
and it's going to be based on
right?
gold
Yeah,
standard.
yeah. And if we're going with one currency based on gold standard, nobody will beat Africa,
Can be touched. We have all the resources.
right? And so now, if you have a currency where there is no one to go and kill, there's no one to go and consult and things like that, and it's functioning, then now you have a situation where Africa can be able to hold something that represents their value and can be able to exchange that value, whether it's global trade or whatever the case might be, without anyone there to kill. Because, like we mentioned, the government, for them, it is all about firepower. So let's say that South Africans decide, hey, you know what? Today I want to buy sandwich. I'm holding some Bitcoin here. I'll pay you in Bitcoin. You pay me in Bitcoin. Say I land in South Africa and I'm like, hey, digital landlord. Here's the thing, man. I see this nice. Let me see. What is a common car that is in South Africa that I would like to have? The Beamer,
Yeah.
okay, BMW, the E30, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the Polo. I know the Polo guys are insane. It might be too much for me, right? So I'm like, hey, digital landlord, nice BMW. Yeah, I'll buy it from you. You're like, no problem, brother. It's going to be, zero point 0.2 Bitcoin.
Mm.
I'm like, all right, yeah, bro. There we go. Zero point 0.2 Bitcoin. And I take the car. You have accepted. We have both accepted right then and there that this car is worth zero point 0.2 Bitcoin. I say yes. I send you the zero point 0.2 Bitcoin and you gave me the car. We have transacted just like we would transact with cash itself, because the bank is not even involved. And so let's say, I don't know, 20%, 30% of South Africa starts operating in this way. Who are they going to come and take out? They'll just come and start shooting the people. I don't see that situation happening. I mean, we'll go straight into genocide with no conflict even.
Whose transaction are they
Right.
analyzing to figure out how many people are buying e-30s?
Yes. And so that is, something that uh is absolutely insane to even believe that these people would go that way. And I think that they understand they cannot go that way, because if they can, they will already be doing it. Because this is how these people operate, right?
Mm.
So I will slow down there and get your thoughts on it, and double O.
I would like to add to that from a history point of view.
Yeah, but this is just where I think of, at least from what you've mentioned so far. This is just the at least the concepts that I would like to throw back your way and get your thoughts, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Great insights. So, yeah. I don't know if you have heard of gateways. So
Mhm.
especially when it comes to transactions, I just wanted to.
Yep.
I'll just start with this one. From what you said, Egypt and Nigeria is like one of the biggest markets maybe out there when you're looking into Africa, but when you're not into Africa. So, for an example, when I do research, yes, we do have in Africa, we do have really good companies coming out from Nigeria. We do have good companies coming out from also Egypt. But if you can look, the payments gateway, South
Mhm.
Africa is the payments gateway into Africa. So money coming into Africa, it goes through South Africa in up to Nigeria. When it leaves South Africa, it goes. Sorry, when it leaves Africa, it goes out of South Africa. But now with Bitcoin, of course, you know,
Mhm.
we can say we can't track it. It doesn't have to go to South Africa first for it to leave Africa. So now there is Bitcoin. It means there are more than one way. Hence, the bank at the clearinghouse. It's called the clearinghouse. The only African country that's a clearinghouse in Africa. It's South Africa. Nigeria is
Okay.
not a clearinghouse.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to say, why I'm saying this is, you know, South Africa is also is in the what the G20 is part of the G20, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there's a G7, there's a G20. So
Yeah.
like you said, African countries are only invited to listen and maybe whatever in the G7, but South Africa is part of the G20.
Yeah.
So why I'm saying this, you know, I've done research. Okay, maybe it's like you're saying, at this time, the information is not out there. Maybe from my side, how I look up things when I do my own research.
Mm.
But looking at South Africa and how fast it's growing, looking at the, you know, the companies that are from, let's say, the stock market that integrates other countries, say Zimbabwe, Nigeria. There are some, I can say maybe 51%, they are from South Africa. And if
Right.
maybe there is like an M-Pesa, a payments company, for an example, is already partnered with Ripple or some South African company, the Ruperts, one of those white rich South Africans, they'll just, you know,
Mhm.
either buy it up or make it really hard for them to trade. You know, like it's a monopoly type of situation.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what I'm saying this to say, you know, South Africa is really is an emerging market, and like I'm saying, I'm in the stock market and I've made a lot of money. Yes, I've missed a lot of money not investing, for example, in Amazon, but also looking into emerging markets. Because, for an example, for a big company to grow, it doesn't have to come up with new products. What they do is they buy up these new companies that solve the problems they're having. It's
Mhm.
not like the big company will now say, we're going to take a risk and start doing something new. What happens is someone who was working at that big company will what will happen will either get fired from that company or they will leave the company by choice and start something or from the side, and whatever that they start, normally from my research, it normally becomes the answer to what these big companies are having, the challenge. So what will happen is this big company suddenly, from firing digital investor, 5 years down the line, they are buying my company because it's solving such an important thing. But whilst I was in that company, they didn't want to listen to those ideas to say, no, the structure works like this. We cannot introduce something new. But when you go outside and you become a problem for that, either a government or that institution, then they either two things happen. Either they buy you out or they really, what they do is they look at what Amazon has done. You know, for anything that Amazon to whatever retail store you go out there. If I had to walk here, you have Pick and Pay. For maybe that side, you guys have Messmart or something. So when you go to Messmart, everything is really expensive. But what Jeff Bezos was able to do is manipulate the market in some way, and he would buy things at whatever price everyone is buying. But when he sells them on Amazon, they were like far cheaper. So he was able to create that traffic for people to start trusting Amazon. And even if it was cheaper than, you know, wherever he was buying it, he didn't mind losing the money short term because he knew once I do have the traffic coming in, I can start now dictating the price to say, you know what, you know, this is the price. For an example, what Apple is doing to the developers to say, no, Apple doesn't do this. If you don't adhere to what Apple is doing, you can go where as a developer, go try somewhere else.
But
So
you
yeah.
know, that's the problem with centralization, right? Because like what you were saying there, Jeff Bezos is able to buy things and come sell it for much cheaper.
Mhm.
Let me tell you something. So at some point in time, we try to we try to do some sales on Amazon ourselves, right? And what you will come to notice is that you would spend a bunch of time researching products from China,
Yeah.
right? Trying to stock your store. At that same time, you're already paying Amazon $30 a month to be able to just
Use the
keep your
application.
store alive.
Yes. Yes.
You find a product, you spend hours and hours, sometimes maybe a couple of days finding a product.
Developing
And
the
then you
products.
finally get this product, you maybe do your branding on it and all of that stuff. And then you have it shipped to your Amazon store.
Expenses
But
that
then
way.
when it shows up there, right, Amazon will suddenly have the same product and they
Yeah.
will sell it cheaper than you.
Yes.
Very simple. They have so much money, right, that they have the ability to take a massive loss in one
Yeah.
area,
Short term. Short
right?
term. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And they would, and yet that they would drive down those prices specifically for the purpose of killing their
The
competitor.
competitor. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That is lazy. That is the only kind of thing that it can be incentivized by fiat money. Okay, because what they are doing, you go, you realize you are not better. You're not providing anything
Of value.
of value or much better than the competitor. But instead of putting in work to come up with something better, because you have the money and you have the influence, you can buy the right people and pay off or take massive losses to take out someone who might be better than yourself, right?
Okay.
When they do that, they're taking out South African business owners, small business owners in South Africa, because those people cannot afford to take those type of losses for as long as they would. But they're not taking losses at the end of the day because they can reduce the prices in South Africa because they will increase the prices in America,
Plus
Yep.
right?
the fees they're charging you
So
to be on the system. Plus the profit they take before you even make a profit. That's a lot.
yeah, but and that's the thing. It's when they do that, I mean that is just it's like a lazy kind of capitalism. It's just it's like it's not leading to, it's not punching upward. Let me put it that way. It is
True.
like rotten business,
True.
right?
So while we're still on that topic, yes, I just wanted to just dice it down a little bit. Then we move on to back to Bitcoin and XRP. But for me, since I started capitalism,
Mhm.
capitalism also, it has its fundamentals and it's now changing. Now we have ESGs, which I'm also not comfortable with, but I think you should involve with time. I think you should involve with time. Look at what is happening, what has happened, how business was handled back in the day. Yes, it might have been the best way, to create competition. But nowadays, from what I'm seeing, you do not entertain competition. You eliminate competition, then you
Mhm.
become that superpower. Hence, for example, thanks to Elon Musk, we are doing this not on YouTube, we are doing this on on a different platform, for example. So
Yeah.
competition is good, but look at how Alphabet has gone about to take over the world, to corner the market. They own a huge chunk of the digital space, especially this type of space whereby we have to talk like this, then we upload it on YouTube, then suddenly they strike our video, we cannot look at it because maybe Elon Musk or Jeff
Problem
Bezos
competition.
saw the video or someone flagged the video. So we have library, we have Twitter now, we have YouTube. No, the platform is growing. That's capitalism. That's healthy. But how the world works, they really eliminate you fast, and yeah, that's how they stay above. So they are from my research. They keep saying the poor gets poorer, the
Mhm.
richer gets richer. So I'm coming from the ground, and I want to find out in the long run to say, will I be poor as the years go, or really can I make something of myself from someone who's coming from nothing? So now I have to really study what the rich are doing and study what the people are in power doing. For an example, like I was saying earlier, the Shark Tank, they would say, if for you to have a good business, what does your business do? So for an
Mhm.
example, I would like to throw this question back at you guys. What does Bitcoin do? Like I understand that we can always have something we can agree upon. Today, they can
Yeah.
just say, no, there are private coins. What about we use a private coin instead of Bitcoin? How about we use Stellar? What about we use Cardano? Like, and there is business. For example, if today we on this platform, we just decided to say, you know what, if we reach a certain number, this video reaches a certain number of viewers, how about we give either Bitcoin or XRPs to the listeners or to the viewers? For example, now what I'm looking at there, how long will it take for the person to receive their Bitcoin if we had to do it a live transaction? To say, I'll be sending a viewer an XRPs, and you guys will be sending maybe one viewer what's this Bitcoin.
Brother,
Like,
we'll do one better. We'll do one better. This during this recording, I will send you Bitcoin.
and I'll say, okay, and I want to send you guys XRPs. Like I still have my app open. Maybe we can send about what? I don't know.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, just let me know. If you open the XRP wallet, you just go and hit receive.
Okay, so you okay? I do have a different wallet that's from South Africa, but if you want a specific one, maybe I can take a day. Maybe after the recording, we can just keep going back and forth.
Yeah, you can keep
Or just any
if you have
Bitcoin
the
wallet that I use currently, and whatever XRP wallet. If you guys are into XRP, just quickly, just for you to see how fast it is to send XRPs and how long, if you are running a business, just to receive your Bitcoins and.
Yeah, there are times when I use XRP, no doubt.
Okay.
Have you
So
used
that's good. So
Bitcoin Lightning Network?
So is it, do you use when you send Bitcoin, is it a wrapped Bitcoin or you just send Bitcoin? And how long has you have sent Bitcoin before? How long the longest it has taken for you? For me, the last time at least more than 20 minutes, and those were like before 2018, I think. So for me, I've waited for Bitcoin. I think even on my emails, you know, because when you send, they will tell you, okay, Bitcoin has received or whatever you've sent it. But I've waited for a good 20 minutes, and now I'm looking at business, if they will ever be able to scale, whereby now it's month end or it's during the month, whenever you make your payments, either you're talking to your supplier or you're talking to him, like now you have to run an efficient business. Can really Bitcoin handle, you know,
Yes.
Amazon transactions from supplier to retail, government?
You can definitely do that, brother. And we're gonna show you in this. We're gonna show
Okay.
you.
And now, okay, just let me just also throw in another question. You know, with Bitcoins running out, you know, there's this research that says the 10 last millionaires, the biggest dollar millionaires, there's not enough Bitcoins for them, right? So for an example, when I'm looking at that and I'm looking at the level playing field, you know, today we do have whales that we don't know about, and we also did touch on Ethereum. I don't know how much research you have done on Ethereum. Ethereum, if you look at Ethereum's history until today, it's like learning how to fly a plane whilst you're in it. Like it's
I'm glad
you know,
recognize that.
Ethereum is still being developed. Ethereum is not developed. Hence, we have proof of stake. Then we change from proof of stake to staking, meaning that we are learning on our way there. Like with Bitcoin, you said we are 15 years in, nothing has changed. There's no downtime there. Yes, Bitcoin is perfect,
But
right?
it's still working as intended.
Pardon, please go on, Chase. I'm listening.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but
Yes.
I was saying 15 years on, but it's still going on as it's still working.
Yes,
as
now hence I'm saying now there hasn't been any changes with Bitcoin. It means it's done. It's ready to go. Right now we look at XRP. XRP hasn't been down also since till today, and now also we can look at the positive side. So we will look at both the negatives and the positive.
Yeah, definitely.
The big banks now, Bank of America. Yes, there. And if you, because of it, before I'm doing, I was really involved in cryptocurrencies. I was really in my company. We did work with a lot of banks. You know, a Bank of America, and so one thing I know about bank, they have a lot of non-disclosures. One, and they also drag their tortoise. These guys take a long time to to get things done. But once the ball is running, I'm telling you, things are nice. You know, they have favors for each other between either governments and private sector. Then us, the little guys, we are like, just looked out as those people that we need to take money from and also give them CBDCs. But now, if you study these guys and just see how they do things and not what they are saying, but how they are doing things, and also maybe like I'm saying, you align yourself. Hence, I've moved from being a Bitcoiner, too much of a Bitcoiner, but to say, you know what is really happening? Like I'm saying, I was really taken by these Shark Tanks to say, what do you do when you come to the Shark Tank? They ask, what do you do? So what
Mhm.
does really Bitcoin do apart from me buying it from either an exchange or from you holding it, then hoping that in the near future it goes up in value? And now, if you also study history, how much currencies fluctuate. It's a problem when a currency fluctuates too fast. It's a problem also when a currency doesn't fluctuate at all. Maybe it stays the same. So you need something that maybe a little bit it grows, that deflation, just so everyone can be motivated to go to work. Because of if now we all hold Bitcoin and we're expecting it to go up, who's gonna work to create the next Tesla? Who's gonna work to create the next Amazon? Because now we're all saying, you know what, I'm not going to work. I have my Bitcoins, and if you want something, just give me it for less, and I'll give you my Bitcoin. But now, if your money depreciates at least maybe by a 0.1%, then you know that you are motivated to be creative, to think outside the box, to find ways to be better. Hence, that the capital side of things, that's the healthy business. But how they do it, they eliminate competition. And like you're saying, these guys, like for an example, the Ripple XRP, those guys are involved with the WEF, the World Economic Forum. They are like shareholders. Those guys, who's this IMM? Those
That's
are
on
big,
World Economic Forum, by
the,
the way.
the, the, the
Finale,
institution.
finale, finale.
Yes,
Let me jump in real quick. I've not
yes,
I got
yes.
a chance to talk, and we've been talking for like an hour.
Okay.
Um, I'm listening to everything that you're saying, and I want us to go back to one of the reasons why you maybe got into Bitcoin in the first place, and then
Yes,
also into the cryptocurrency space. And then let's talk as Africans.
yes,
You're in South Africa.
yes.
I was born in Nigeria. Is born in Cameroon,
Great.
right? And you mentioned the book by Dr. Edison,
Yes,
Black Label, right? White,
yes. Well,
right?
yes.
Do you see any problem with just that statement, Black Label, White Wealth?
Hmm. True.
When
Yep.
when you look at Africa's history as it is today, which is actually not a history that we wrote. This is
Hmm.
history written by the victor, right?
Yes, yes.
Apartheid is still going on in South Africa right now, true or false? It's not really over. Apartheid is still there.
Okay, just a
Is it not
second.
the white corporations that control South Africa right now?
Yeah, the white institutions are still in control, and yes, as the black people, we are still trying to fight that to be more free. Yes.
Okay, so are we getting into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies just to increase value and to trade and make money? Or are we trying to figure out how we as Black Africans can escape from Black label white wealth? What's our mission?
True, true. That's the real question. For me, as a young black man, I would really like to come out of the fiat system, but also be part of the next global thing. Because of I cannot be a standalone. If now only you and I use Bitcoin, we cannot trade with government, we cannot trade with other institutions because it's either banned or something. I still need to be able to transact freely everywhere I go in the world because we do have an agreement to say if I come to your house, these were the basic things I would like you to cater for me. And also if you come to my house, these are the basic things you like to for me to cater to you. But
Yes.
now
Which is
with
what
everything else,
this is
okay?
what Bitcoin does, right? Because remember, governments are the people.
Yes,
Institutions do not exist without the people,
yes, yes,
right? So we are the entire global population. We make the
the,
government, we make the institution.
yes, yes.
Unfortunately, the government and the institutions that currently are controlling our psychology and our thought of what money is a very few group of people that control all of us. Very,
Okay,
very few institutions that
yes,
control all of us, right? These are the CEOs that have paid the government, and the government makes policy to either block the gateways or control how we think or what money is, which is why they're able to print money anyhow while still enriching those closest to the money, which are the institutions, right?
may I ask you guys something? Just a quick question.
Go
just
ahead.
from the top, what is money to you guys? Just simple.
Exactly.
What
Now
is
you're
money to
talking.
you guys?
Now you're talking. Because
That's a good
remember,
question. Wait, you asked what's the question?
exactly.
Answer the question. You said
Yeah,
what's the
I'm trying to answer it.
yeah.
Because remember, you said, right, in your own statements.
Okay. Yo, I lost you.
How about now?
Can
Can
you
you
hear me
hear
now?
Okay.
us?
Yeah, please try again. Yeah, you cut there. Please say it again.
Yeah. All right. So in your own statement, I'm telling you from your own statement because I took
Yes,
some
sir.
notes. You want to be able to keep your money. You want to be able
Yes,
to trade it. You want to be able to exchange it. When you're exchanging it, that's currency. When you're keeping it and storing it, right? That is storing value, right? That's what money is, right? Also, money should be portable. It should be secure, right? You can wake up 10 years from now and say, I want to be able to use that money and it has not lost all its value,
yes,
right?
yes.
I want to come to South Africa. I do not have to go sit at some exchange to try to change my currency over and over again to figure out how to make sure that it does not get debased because I'm coming from one country to another. I can go there and buy what I want to buy. That is money,
That's
right?
your definition of money.
Money must be scarce, right? When
Yeah.
we were gold standard, right? We thought gold was scarce. That is why we go to wars to go and accumulate gold, right? Money is not something that you should just print out of thin hair, right? Because when you do that, it steals from everybody.
Yes.
So the scarcity is what make gold the gold standard for the longest. 5,000 or 2,000 years they call it. That we've been
And
using gold.
also, it's yes, scarcity one, but also like for example, it's taken from Bitcoin, proof of work. For gold to be money, you must mine it. It means men have to go down there, risk their lives. Some have
Exactly.
as African, we have lost a lot of men because of gold. So hence it has that value.
Boom.
Who is lost when you print money?
Well, for example, when governments print money, let's say the three
Where
of
is
us
the
had a meeting. Sorry.
what is the proof of work when governments print money?
Now that's the thing. What government is printing is fiat. It's not money. Hence, there's two different. There's fiat. There's money, and we haven't used money since money was dropped from being pegged to gold. So it's what 40 years
Right.
or something since we've used money. We've been
Right.
19
using fiat,
months
and fiat is
ago.
not money.
Yep.
So,
And
but fiat has now been used
Start wars,
to represent value
oppress.
everywhere.
yeah, but also we need to study the history of fiat. People were tired of carrying out, gold coins. People
Mhm.
were tired of carrying what goats, chairs, whatever they were producing
Yeah.
at that time.
And
And
there is no problem with that though, but because when we started using notes, you can have your gold sitting in the bank, right? And so if
IOUs.
you come and give me 1,000 rand note, I should be able to go to the bank and say, "Hey, I give me 1,000 rand of gold because Senele just gave me a note." Okay.
yes,
At the same time, I can take that 1,000 note and I can give it to somebody else. The gold is represented because the gold is in the bank.
Using the ledger.
But then if the bank says, you know what, we have a lot of firepower, we are the
yeah,
strongest, your money has value because we said so, forget the gold. And then they do not even give the gold back to you. So
yes.
now
So,
you're now forced to operate on the fact that this 1,000 rand is used to be worth 1,000 worth of gold, but the gold is not really there. So now the bank now starts printing more money and debasing the 1,000 rand that you had without the representation of the gold. So
yes,
the problem now becomes that, and this is why money has to have, this is why you have to have that limited supply, right? Because if you can just bring it out of thin air, then there is no work being done. And if you're
true,
bringing value out of thin air with no work being done, you're stealing from everybody else that is actually putting in the work.
true.
You
So,
see?
so that's what has happened with the dollar. The
Mhm.
dollar has brought inflation into other countries whereby they've printed a lot of dollar. Then they
Yeah,
sent that inflation into China,
yeah,
Africa, because we're mining the gold, we're giving them hard stuff. China
yes.
is building the cars or building the iPhones, giving you
Very
hard stuff.
true.
What has America done? Has given us the dollars. It means they've sent inflation into our countries.
Yeah. So how do you disengage from that with XRP?
How does Africa disengage from that?
Uh, to,
How
for
do we
for
fix
me,
Africa's problem?
Mm.
True. First, I just wanted to go start with my understanding. This is my understanding of what money is, right? So there's, like I was saying, there's currency, there's money.
Uh-huh.
Before there was gold, for an example,
Mhm.
they say the cavemen.
Yeah.
How
Mhm.
did they trade, goods and everything else? Apparently, from my study and my research is that money before everything was a ledger. For an
Mhm.
example, if now I come into this show and you guys or I owe you guys now something for either coming in here, helping you guys, we sharing ideas, also sharing with the community. But
Mhm.
now we now have a ledger to say this has happened, and now from here, how can we build going forward? Now we have to have a ledger, not money, not gold, not seashells, nothing, because seashells before they were money,
Mhm.
before
Yeah.
gold.
Accurate account
So
of the.
so now we have to all think of all those things and how what is the potential of where can we go if maybe the Seychelles were once currency, we went to gold, we went to fiat, now we're in the digital space and also understanding technology, knowing that, do you remember the first cell phone you used?
Uh-huh.
I was looking at the first cell phone. I was like 11 years old when I started having my first cell phone, and I bought it myself. Till today, I've never, lived a life without a cell phone. And look at how cell phones have developed. And now, if you can look at those old Motorola's and compare to them to today,
Mhm.
yes, they were great at that time. But now, if you look at the iPhones, whatever phone you're using, the Samsung, wow, the SMSs, I don't even have to call you and spend a lot of money. We can do like this and use data. And it's far, far cheaper. We speak longer, we communicate, we send messages, value to each other, and grow each other for far less than what has happened in the past. So, my opinion is that yes, Bitcoin has really brought us into this new age on how to do things. Because of, for an example, a lot of technology was brought up when Bitconnect came about, like being able to lock up your money. The first time I was able to lock up my money online was when I used Bitconnect.
Let me jump into that one. This is where we need to get you to lighten up a little bit. So
Okay.
when we talk about Bitconnect and we'll talk about the cell phone and how this technology now allows you to
Evolved.
lock
Mhm.
up your money. Now let's talk about this. Are you familiar with P2P, right? Public
Yeah,
private
peer to peer.
right? That's peer to peer, P2P, right?
Okay.
There's also private public partnership, which the World
Yes,
Economic
yes,
Forum, the World Bank, and the UN, right? Just just
yes.
keep just keep thinking. The money
Okay.
that we're using now, the technologies that we're using now, even the current Internet 2 technologies that we're using, even some of the Web 3 technologies that we're using, are all centrally controlled. When you use Amazon, Amazon use your data to enrich themselves.
True.
When you use Google, Google use your data to enrich itself,
True.
right? Because it's centrally controlled. What happens is that these corporations, these institutions partner with the government. This is why they're able to sanction you. This is why they're able to block your website. This is why they're able to stop your social media website. That's that the first two P's, the private and the government. They partner together to stifle you and I.
True.
That is why the internet, your cell phone tracks you. The internet tracks you. The applications that you use tracks you. That is what Bitcoin is here to say. Let's put an end to this. Let's give you back your sovereign power, where your information is private. Your
Yeah.
use of money is private. These corporations are not using it to enrich themselves. They are abusing you in the process as well, using the government. So Bitcoin, for example, makes your transaction private.
Just once can I just ask you something? Um,
Pseudonymous.
like I'm saying, I've used Bitcoin since say 2015, and I've lost Bitcoin, right? I've like
Yes.
maybe sent it on a wrong address or something, so I've done those. So I
Mhm.
just want to know your comfort, because like I'm saying, I'm from the stock market, and I wasn't comfortable when this came to my mind.
Uh-huh.
Are you comfortable with sending? Let's say you had to send me money, or you had to buy something private, like you're saying, the word private now. When you
Uh-huh.
send your money using Bitcoin, it's always there on that public ledger to say you just sent this much. A lot of times, have you looked at that?
Mhm.
I just lost.
Mempo, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, are you comfortable seeing all your transactions being listed on that ledger, on that public ledger to say?
a
Like,
because
public address.
your name is
It's,
not there.
yeah, it's a public
okay,
address.
It's just
okay,
an address.
yes, yes, it's just an address, right? Then your name is not there. But in my own research, when I was doing a bit of research before, because I did buy Bitcoin before KYCs. A lot of
Yeah.
exchanges didn't have KYC. We just pop in there, buy Bitcoin, send Bitcoin. And then there was this time whereby they were sending us email to say, listen, we are now introducing KYC. You like to shut down your account or you like to continue with your account?
You
Yeah.
know,
And
you
a
know,
lot of
you know, you know why that is happening. You know why that is happening because the governments and the banks are saying, "Oh, there's gonna be money flights," right? So the government, just like I was saying earlier, the PPPs, the banks and the governments are working together to ensure that this new money doesn't overtake. The establishment does not want Bitcoin to overtake it. Governments start introducing KYCs and AML to stop you and I from transacting with one another because they want you to be under their umbrella. It's that simple. That is why. It's as simple as that.
That goes back to the part which you mentioned in the beginning, that government and institutions are coming together.
Mhm. Well,
So you have corporations that are making government kind of become their, how would you say,
Their weapon,
their
their tool.
henchmen,
Yep.
their army,
yeah,
right? Like right now, if Amazon does not like what TikTok is doing, they can definitely pay people in the government to try to ban TikTok from America.
yes,
They call it lobbying, but if it's
true,
happening in Africa, they call it corruption and bribery.
Mm-hmm.
true,
Okay,
I mean, TikTok
true.
allows you to buy and sell stuff
when
now.
they print money, they call it quantitative easing. But if you and I print money, they'll call it counterfeiting. You
Yes,
catch it? Okay, so it has to be a level playing platform for everyone.
mhm.
Is what I
But
say.
now,
If we're
but now,
going to money, which everybody should be able to work and generate some sort of value represented for themselves. Say, for example, back in the day, say it was just farmers, right? I'm
yes,
sure you heard the story. You could bring me milk and exchange for corn.
mhm,
If you bring a jug of milk to me and I say, okay, I'll give you 3 combs of corn,
mhm.
we have now agreed that one milk equals to 3 combs of corn.
Yes, yes.
That is value right there,
That is value right there. Yes,
right? I had to go and work on my farm to come up with that value. And then you probably had to go and do some work, grazing your cow and all of that stuff,
yes,
milking the cow for us to be able to now get to this point where you have this value that is milk and I have this value that is corn and we've exchanged. We can look at that as currency,
yes, yes. True, true. That's
right?
correct. Mhm.
You agree? So the only problem with that currency then or that value now is that, well, maybe you cannot hold this milk for 7 weeks because it might go bad.
Yes.
So now that milk has gone down in value. So the work that you have put in now has gone to waste.
So,
So now
so
you need a way to preserve that money for a long time.
how do you preserve the man? Because it's about preserving as a black people, as a the
Exactly.
black nation. We you know from history they say
Yeah.
we used to be like the rulers of the world, right? Until things happen from our own leaders who sold us out or whatever the history is. But
Absolutely.
now we don't have the power and we want the power back, right?
Yeah.
Either it's from a level playing field standpoint, or we need to go back to being, when I
Yes.
see my fellow brother, African brother,
Yeah.
I speak highly of him. And even from the TVs, when they make movies, these things of making black people as if they're gangsters, just to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that when they shoot them in real
Yeah.
life, that
See,
yeah, maybe he was
Mm,
carrying
we
a
get it
gun,
now.
that is
maybe he
all
has
that's
a drug dealer. So
yeah.
those are the perspectives that
Mhm.
either the governments or the companies, especially the companies, put out there
They put out there.
to perpetuate their agenda, whatever agenda they are pushing, just to say,
Mhm.
no, you saw it in the movie or you saw it in the TV. So now you
Yeah.
have to make the conclusion that black people are either selling drugs or carrying guns, hence why
Hey,
why
bro.
police are shooting
All
them.
right, brother. Now let me ask you this: why is it